Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I'd like to welcome you very warmly to this Pearl Initiative event. I'm Imelda Dunlop, and I'm the Executive Director of the Pearl Initiative. This event, as you know, is to launch our research on beyond compliance good practice case studies within the GCC. I'd firstly like to thank very much the Hub Tour Leighton Group for kindly sponsoring this event and dinner. The Pearl Initiative really believes in the power of reinforcing a positive leadership message to influence the wider business community towards better business practices. We're all on a journey, and it's important for those GCC companies ahead of the curve to share their learning and experiences with a wider audience. We chose 3 topics for this particular piece of research. The first, effective board processes. The second, the implementation and embedding of integrity-related policies. And the third, towards integrated reporting. This research work has been carried out by a joint team of full-time MBA students from the Judge Business School at Cambridge University in the UK and the Business School at the American University of Sharjah in the UAE. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Pearl Initiative and why it exists. There are some words we hear all around us in a corporate environment. We hear about transparency, accountability, good governance, anti-corruption. I think that few people today would argue that these are unnecessary points of focus. Although people seem to agree that these are laudable concepts, and as fashionable as it may have been to use these buzzwords in recent years, the world has changed. We've seen widespread insecurity across most, if not all, industries. We saw the near collapse of the global financial system, caused in large part by the failure of some financial companies not to heed these buzzwords. So I think we've reached a tipping point in momentum towards not just promoting, but demanding and really understanding the business case for transparency, good governance, and corporate responsibility. It is clear that investments and capital are more readily available to countries and corporations that adhere to the highest standards of governance. Good governance, after all, is essential to the integrity of corporations, financial institutions, and financial markets. It's central to the health and stability of economies, and ultimately the welfare of citizens everywhere, particularly as we strive for a steadfast global recovery. So there's now the perception and the growing understanding that promoting, fostering, and insisting on transparency and good governance in the companies of the region is crucial to building the economies which can attract foreign investment and which are able to handle our demographic challenges and employment and infrastructure needs. The Pearl Initiative is about fostering a corporate culture based on responsible and accountable business practices. This means getting companies and investors to commit to openness. The Pearl Initiative is about ensuring that corporate reporting standards in the GCC are as high as they can be, with regular, verifiable, impartial, and honest data made available to relevant parties. Reporting must cover the governance, social, and environmental, as well as the financial costs and opportunities of any company's actions. Stakeholder engagement is something Pearl Initiative promotes as well. We want to ensure that investors and shareholders in the companies of the region understand their rights and responsibilities and play their important role in corporate decision-making. Along with the eradication of corruption and the promotion of business ethics, these are the Pearl Initiative pillars, our vision and our mission. It's now been 18 months since we launched in New York with the UN Office for Partnerships, and in that time we've been consistently pleased with the response we've had, with the way companies have signed up to our principles and committed to concrete collaborative action within the region to support these pillars. There are 3 streams of activity that we're involved in. The first is collaborative action and dialogue forums. For example, on anti-corruption, we've launched a joint regional Partnering Against Corruption initiative with the World Economic Forum. We encourage business leaders to sign up to the Partnering Against Corruption initiative principles of the World Economic Forum and commit to countering bribery, reinforce and raise awareness of the business case for action against corruption, and provide a regional network through which organisations can gain knowledge and benefit from mutual support. We're also closely working with UNDP to progress the regional anti-corruption agenda and engage the private sector in the reform process. On integrated reporting, our programme is in collaboration with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales Accounting for Sustainability project. We're holding awareness-raising sessions around the region in order to introduce the concepts and benefits of integrated reporting. And we're also providing a regional network through which interested organisations can gain knowledge and share experiences. On good governance, we're leading a series of tailored leadership roundtable sessions focused on peer-to-peer exchange of knowledge. We brought Dr. Peter Eigen, the founder of Transparency International, to the region in December to facilitate sessions in Dubai and Riyadh. The second area we're involved in is knowledge creation, and this project is an example of that. We're fostering greater understanding of the business case, the issues, the trends associated with transparency and accountability through the generation of new data, research, analysis and insight within the region. We're carrying out at the moment, also in collaboration with a consulting firm, the research and analysis to create the first ever report on governance and transparency practices in family firms in the GCC, and we aim to publish that report by the end of this year. We're also planning to produce a report on business-led initiatives in youth employment and entrepreneurship in the Arab world. This report will aim to communicate a positive message of the potential for businesses to lead and make a difference in youth education, employment and enterprise. Again, like tonight, using case studies to recognise achievements and success stories, share lessons learned and key success factors in order to facilitate the scale-up and replication of activities across the wider business community. The third area we're involved in is university collaborations, helping to build the capacity of future leaders to make a difference in creating a culture of transparency and accountability. The Pearl Initiative is collaborating with the American University of Sharjah and other leading universities across the region to forge greater links with the private sector in teaching and research in areas of ethics, integrity, corporate governance and sustainability. For example, we recently hosted a group of 30 professors from universities across the Arab world working together on a course curriculum on business ethics and integrity in Arabic. So these are the work streams that we're currently involved in, but today we're here to bring to fruition the Beyond Compliance case studies. They look at what is being done by GCC companies to promote and measure up to the Pearl Initiative pillars I described before. This work has a serious purpose: to analyse, to learn and to disseminate the key practices which can be implemented elsewhere in the region within the private sector. It's vitally important that we reinforce a positive message about what leading companies are doing on a practical and day-to-day basis to improve their business practices within the region. This is the unique approach of the Pearl Initiative. It's developed by the private sector for the private sector. And with this excellent piece of research that we're about to hear tonight, it demonstrates the long-term direct value creation that these practices aimed at increasing transparency, governance, and social responsibility will have on GCC businesses and the people and industries that they serve. So that's a little bit about tonight and about the Pearl Initiative. What I'd like to do without further ado is to invite Dr. Peter Heath, the Chancellor of the American University of Sharjah, to make some introductory remarks.
Good evening. Thank you, Imelda. It's a great pleasure to be here, and it's a great honor for the American University of Sharjah to be a partner in the Pearl Initiative. It's no surprise to any of us here, and I will say some truisms, but I think they bear repeating just to remind us that we live in an era of intense competition, and that we also live in a region where we face large-scale challenges in the area of job creation and human resources. And we also face, I think, a very interesting period of time where businesses can change very quickly. You can have a family firm that has been going for 3 generations, and in the 4th generation it disappears. You can even have, in Europe and the United States, major firms like Kodak that have been existing for 150 years and being the leading firms of their speciality, and yet they go into receivership all of a sudden because they haven't been keeping up with the times. We at the American University at Beirut, yes, going back in time, of Sharjah, and I could say AUC since I'm a graduate of AUC too, or many other universities, are in the knowledge business and also the human capacity business. I mean, we are intending, our goal, our mission is to develop expanded human capacity for society. We do this in a particular way. We take young men and women and try to educate them. But we also do it with, I think, a clear awareness of the partnership that's involved. And the partnership is really listening to the private sector and the public sector very carefully to understand what their needs are. But also this partnership, I think, really is goes beyond the partnership of just producing human resources. If we're going to fulfill a true mission as a university and as an active member of society, then part of our mission has to be that we have to be thinking with society, with elements of society, companies, and the public sector, government, and semi-governmental agencies, to think about how to chart the future. And the future is always unpredictable, but if you don't think about the future, or even how to think about the future, then we're not going to be successful in it. In spite of all of the uncertainties and all of the challenges, and all of the various ways that one can think about directions that a particular company, a particular country, a particular university, a particular individual may go in, there is one thing that I think time has shown again and again to be sort of the foundation or the basis of success, and that is good governance. And so part of our mission in terms of imparting the principles for success is not only the modern competencies in engineering or business or architecture and design or whatever field, but it's also to emphasize that the principles for whatever mode of social interaction that one is working on, working with, and working towards is founded on sound principles of how to interact with your colleagues in a company, with your family members as a family, with your fellow citizens in a country, and with those who are sort of co-inhabitants of this globe. And if you focus on the integrity of these principles, and actually not only focus but try to implement them, to move from just theory to implementation to habit in these principles, then in fact you have at least a firm basis for success. And if you do not succeed, if you fail, if the company doesn't work, if the ideas do not come into fruition in the ways that you wanted to, at least you will have the sense that having worked on the basis of good governance, on integrity, on the proper interaction between human beings, then in fact you will have been successful nonetheless. Now, as part of a knowledge economy, and as a promoter of the knowledge economy, it's particularly, I think, apt that we have a group of students here who are going to demonstrate to us and inform us of their very specific, I think, investigations into certain areas of how business is being done in our region right now. And it's through the accumulation and the spread of this type of knowledge that I think that we can, as a university, assist you as in the private sector and also those in the governmental sector to make sure that this region moves forward in a measured and progressive and successful way in order to create new opportunities for the young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Dr. Madam Rotola Savah, Vice Chancellor for Development and Alumni Affairs at American University of Sharjah, to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Madam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ضيوف الأفاضل، الحضور الكريم، سعادة الدكتور بيتر هيث مدير الجامعة الأمريكية بالشارقة، سعادة بدر جعفر, and you have been elevated, Badr, given that you are the person behind the launch. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، بالأخص خريجينا الكرام. أحييكم بمناسبة الإطلاق الرسمي للمشروع البحثي حول دراسات. Sorry that you won't understand much of what I'm saying, but it's good also what others are saying. أحييكم بمناسبة الإطلاق الرسمي للمشروع البحثي حول الدراسات القيمة المتعلقة بأسس الممارسات الجيدة التي تعمق بها نخبة من طلاب جامعة كامبريدج، وهي بغنى عن التعريف طبعا، والجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة، وهو مشروع بحثي مشترك بين مبادرة بيرل إنيشيتيف والجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة. مبادرة بيرل هي المبادرة القيمة التي أطلقها السيد بدر مجيد جعفر بالتعاون مع مكتب الأمم المتحدة للشراكات والجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة، وهي منظمة غير هادفة للربح يقودها القطاع الخاص بهدف تحسين الشفافية والمساءلة وممارسة الأعمال في العالم العربي، وهي شبكة نامية يتكون أعضاؤها من رواد الأعمال الملتزمين بدعم العمل المشترك والتواصل في تبادل المعارف والخبرات. وكما ذكرت فقد تم تأسيس مبادرة بيرل هذه بالتعاون مع مكتب مع هيئة الأمم المتحدة ومكتبها للشركات، وتم تكريسها كمركز للتميز Center for Excellence في الجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة، ونحن طبعا نعتز جدا بهذا هذا الأمر. ومن تلك الانطلاقة نواصل عملنا المشترك، حيث تقوم مبادرة بيرل بتنفيذ 3 أنواع من الأنشطة تشجع من خلالها روح العمل الجماعي من جهة، وتوليد وتبادل المعارف من جهة أخرى، وتمكين الطاقات والقدرات. ومن خلال هذا المنطلق وجودكم معنا اليوم. في إطار هذا التعاون تقوم مبادرة بيرل والجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة اليوم باستضافة الطلاب ال5 الموجود معنا. Would you please give them a round of applause at least? باستضافة 5 من طلاب ماجستير إدارة الأعمال في University of Cambridge Judge Business School وآخرين من الجامعة الأمريكية. هو I'm expecting collaborated with them، تعاون ما بين هؤلاء الطلبة وطلبة كلية إدارة الأعمال في الجامعة، وآخرين من الجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة كما قلت، بتقديم نتائج البحث القيم الذي قاموا بإجرائه حول أسس الممارسات الجيدة في دول مجلس التعاون الخليجي من خلال عدد من دراسات الحالة التي تعمقوا بها ما وراء الالتزام. I'm guessing beyond compliance, we'll see how this goes. وكما تعرفون جميعا فإن الجامعة تعتز بتواصلها المستمر والبناء مع المجتمع بشتى شرائحه وفئاته لبناء القدرات والطاقات البشرية المتمكنة علميا وعمليا طبقا لتعليمات وتوجيهات صاحب السمو الشيخ دكتور سلطان بن محمد القاسمي عضو المجلس الأعلى حاكم الشارقة ورئيس الأعلى للجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة، تعليماته المستمرة في هذا الخصوص. وتحرص الجامعة الأمريكية في الشارقة على تمكين طلبتها وخريجيها، نحن نعتز بكم جميعا، بتمكين طلبتها وخريجيها من خلال صقل خبراتهم في المجالين النظري والعلمي من جهة والعملي والتطبيقي من جهة أخرى، ومن خلال تواصل الطلبة والخريجين هؤلاء مع أبرز الاختصاصيين في شتى المجالات العلمية في الإمارات العربية المتحدة والخليج وحول العالم. وأخيرا فإن مثل هذه المبادرات كتلك التي يقدمها لنا السيد بدر حميد جعفر اليوم من خلال دعمه وإطلاقه لهذه المبادرة هو أمر نعتز به جدا، فهي تطابق رؤية صاحب السمو وما تحاول الجامعة القيام به، ولذا فأود أن تنضموا إلي للترحيب كما رحبتم بسعادة الدكتور بيتر هيث وبطلابنا الأعزاء ضيوفنا الكرام أن تنضموا إلي لتحية السيد بدر مجيد جعفر على مثل هذه المبادرات التي يقوم بها لو سمحتم. وأتوقع أن المتكلم الذي يليني الذي كان يجب أن يسبقنا جميعا هو السيد بدر مجيد جعفر. Would you please welcome him to the podium, Badr? I expect that you...
Thank you, Dr. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, apart from really just to say that the most important pillar is the fact that the Pearl Initiative is by the private sector for the private sector. And the important aspect of that is realizing that there is value creation and incentives in adopting these principles of good corporate governance, transparency, accountability. That is really a key differentiating factor behind the work of the Pearl Initiative. The other thing, of course, is that of collaboration. All these words that we're talking about, transparency, accountability, corporate governance, this can't happen and can't take place unless it's done region-wide and with a true spirit of collaboration, not just across the GCC, but the region. And this, again, not just GCC companies, but companies who are active and actively involved within the GCC and the rest of the Arab world. These are two pillars which really we continue to focus on and try and propagate in our work. And of course tonight, and really without further ado, so the real highlight of the evening are these guests that we have who are here from the University of Cambridge, and I would like to introduce, and maybe Imelda, if you could introduce how the proceedings of the evening will continue to go. And thank you again very much for all of you coming and for being supportive. Thank you.
Okay, let's get straight on to the meat of the evening, and I'd really like to welcome the research team from Judge Cambridge and from American University of Sharjah to present their findings. I know they're going to introduce themselves individually, so I'll just let them get straight on with it. Please join in welcoming them.